Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and this is a redo of What If Deku Was Half Gargoyle Part 2 due to some audio problems I had in the initial video. So yeah, hopefully this goes a lot better now that I'm using a different mic and such. So yeah, let's restart where the last part 1, ended, where Deku was beginning to go into UA for the UA entrance exam, with his gargoyle dog Sue following behind him. As for the theory test goes pretty much the same as in canon. As for the practical test, Deku has been trained by the older gargoyles in his father's side of the family, which ended up making him more strategic in a upcoming fight. So there's that. So he doesn't mutter like he does in canon, which causes Ida to call him out on it. So once we get to the actual battlefield, Deku is stretching out and getting ready, which is when Ida comes up to him asking him about Sue, saying, "Are you, is that thing with you?" Looking at Sue, the gargoyle dog, uh, and Ida remarking that, "Are you expecting that this animal to help you in the exam?" He just says no. He just follows me wherever I go. So, which is when President Mike begins the test, stating that battles don't have a countdown. So, Deku uses One for All to boost himself clean over everybody while using his wings to guide him. More or less using One for All in his legs to create some air pressure, while using his wings for gliding purposes to give uh, what people could consider proper flight and all that. Deku rips and tears the robots to shreds with his claws, even piercing clean through the robots' bodies with a single hand in some cases. Though Sue's just following behind, but he was given orders by Deku not to attack the robots. And the faculty watching from the monitor room are impressed with him. He's taking out robots that even are about to harm other examinees. As and when a robot went to sneak up on him from behind, before a nearby examinee could do anything to help him, Deku's tail was charged up with One for All, bitch slapping the robot into a million pieces. And yes, imagine that however you like. Enjoy. So after a while, he figures that he must have gotten the points after the large carnage of robots, which is when the ground began to shake and people began to run. When he looked back, he saw the 0 pointer, thinking, that's a bit much. Before he went to get away, he heard someone crying out for help. When he turned around, he saw a girl with pink skin and hair and horns trapped under some rubble. That looked like she hurt her ankle or foot and that kind of thing. Instinctively, he ran right towards her as the robot extended its hand to grab her. He dug his claws into the palm of the robot's hand, charging up with One for All, completely tearing the robot's arm all the way up into the shoulder, clean in half. Jumping straight up to the robot, punching it dead on in the face, full on taking off the robot's head. Then glided down using his wings, getting the rubble off of the girl he just saved, which is when the exam stopped and recovery girl came by, treated her, and brought her to be further examined, just in case. After that, Deku went and got his stuff together and was getting to leave. Though he wasn't off UA yet, which is when the girl that he just saved caught up to him, saying, "It looks like you saved me again." He looked back, seeing the girl, asking, "Do you remember me?" He thinks for a moment and remembers, saying, "Oh yeah, you're that girl that got taken hostage by those villains that were trying to get away a few years ago, right?" He smiled and said, "Yeah, you saved me." Which is when Sue walks up to her and starts sniffing her, actually seeming to like her, proceeding with the girl petting Sue and asking, "Is this a quirk dog?" Deku said, "More or less," bending down, saying, "It was a while ago, so I might have forgotten your name." She says, "It's Mina Ashido." When she say that, Sue full on tackles her to lick her, and Deku does what he can to get her Sue off of her. Which she's actually not that bothered by Sue doing that. She's the kind of go with it kind of personality, bubbly and everything, and likes animals. So Deku ended up walking her to the station along with Sue, and once they part ways, Mina looked back, seeing Sue and Deku scaling the wall of the building, and then Deku jumping off the roof, gliding with Sue in his arms. Once he got home, he told his parents how the exam went and all that, which then we have a bit of a time skip to the where he gets his letter where All Might congratulates him on achieving his goal of getting into UA, which he's extremely excited, and he has a week until the school starts. Once he told his parents, they decided to go visit the complex that Alexander Fox Xanatos owned in Japan that housed the gargoyles in Japan. So they went during the night so that they wouldn't have to strap Deku's dad on top of the roof. Once they got there, they spent 2 days relaxing and celebrating with Deku's dad's side of the family, or Hasashi's side of the family. Deku was able to meet back up with his rookery brothers after so long, which they were extremely excited about. And it got a little out of hand during the celebration, where Deku and his rookery siblings ended up making themselves go into a full-on food coma. They had they had to drag Deku back to the car when they left. He just couldn't move. So we speed up to the first day of UA, and we see that Deku is running and looking for the door to the class. When he sees it, he sighs in relief while also being surprised by its size. Sue is still following him around. There was some talks that some people that know the gargoyle secret are actually aware of, and well, they, as it happens, Izuku's father Hasashi actually talked with Principal Nezu himself about the situation. Considering he's a quirk animal with super intelligence that doesn't particularly like humans per se, he can keep a secret from the humans and all that in government and other heroes. So yeah, he does know about the gargoyles, and he has permitted Sue to go with Izuku into the classes. As for any kind of title that you might give him, I think it would be the pro hero equivalent in this world, in the same manner that a like a police dog or a military dog in reality kind of has that kind of thing. So yeah, so Sue is more or less a hero dog in training. So yeah, once he opens the door, he's met with instantly Bakugo and Ida arguing. Ida still walks up to him, congratulating him on doing so well in the practical exam, as well as outshining him as a student in heroism, which he tries to refute, which then Mina comes in saying hello, that it was nice to see him again, and nice to see Sue again, which everybody's just looking at him, looking at the oddly, the very odd scaly dog that just walked in behind the Deku, and the which is when Ochako uh, gets into the classroom right behind Sue and just kind of freezes for a minute, not knowing what to do. Then Aizawa comes in while Ida is questioning why Sue is here. Once Aizawa tells everybody to be quiet, he complains about it being too long, and then explains the deal with Sue. Being the quirk animal that's trained and obedient, is going through a process that would be considered the pro hero equivalent of a police dog. Which people kinda get, but didn't know that kind of thing could happen. But considering that their principal of their school is a quirk animal and the pro hero with super intelligence, that it really isn't that far of a stretch in this world. So yeah. Which is when Aizawa tells them to put on their gym uniforms and head to the field. They do so after complaining about orientations and Aizawa giving his explanation on that. Then he tosses the ball to Deku once they all get to the sports field, telling him to use his quirk. All it has. He charges up and full on chucks it to go a bit past 3,000 meters, which shocks everybody. So everybody's decided to use their quirks for this, which Aizawa gives his usual threat of expulsion for the person who comes in last place. So there's that. And Shu is actually going to participate in this. So, as Deku does incredibly well in all of the tests, including the long jump and the high jump using his wings and wind pressure created from One for All in his using just pushing off with his legs to get some incredible distance and a large amount of air. Though he still can't do this kind of thing in public given the wind pressure and it could be dangerous in a crowd. So yeah. As for Shu, he's full on he's did pretty good in the running and such that required leg work and everything. As for the grip test, he just bit onto the grip device and almost ate it. Deku had to pry it open his jaws to get it out and had to apologize to Aizawa for what Shu did to the school's equipment. Once it was all over, the Deku ended up being number one. As for who was in last, it was Mineta, and then it was Hatsume. I think her name is the Invisible Girl, and then there was, but a couple above them was actually Shu. So yes, the students that ended up getting less points than Shu ended up getting very depressed, thinking, I couldn't even be the court dog. So yeah, there is that. We continue with Aizawa explaining that the expulsion thing was just something to get them to go all out, and Momo does her usual thing, stating that thinking that it was obviously a lie for them to go all out. And people still have their annoyed thoughts that she should have said something. We continue. All Might's been watching and is proud of his uh, successor of One for All doing so well, but still thinking he needs to work on his fine tuning on One for All to control the percentage better, while also feeling kind of sorry for the students who ended up getting less points than Shu. Which honestly, I think a lot of people would be sorry for them. So on the way out, Mina tagged along with Deku and Shu again, with Ida and Ochako following them too. Though Mina's complaining, thinking that saying that she was so stressed out by Aizawa's little ploy that she's just done. She even slumps over Shu, trying to hug the dog that, well, she thinks is a dog for comfort. Which then it ends up with her just being carried by Shu that she didn't actually mean to happen. But she just kind of rolled with it. Because I'm figuring that is probably what Mina would do. So they go their separate ways. As for the next day, when hero classes start up, All Might bursts in, telling them about the combat training for their first hero test. So, as for the lineup and divvying of who fights who, this time it's Deku and Mina versus Bakugo and Ida, with Shu assisting the heroes, which is, like as I said, Deku and Mina. Bakugo complains about that, and All Might says, "Are you afraid of a animal? Are you afraid of a dog that much?" Which just pisses off Bakugo, saying, "Fine, I'll beat all three of them by myself if I have to," and storms off, going to the bomb. Mina and Deku discuss a strategy and suggest that Mina and Sue go up to the roof to take them from above while he goes in through the front. Mina wonders how are they supposed to get up there, which he just said, easy, you ride Sue, and he uses his claws to scale up all the way to the roof. Which Mina remembers what they did to scale the wall and then glide away after the exam. So she figured it should be fine. So Mina's riding Sue up the wall, full on scaling the vertical wall with him digging his claws into it, while Deku goes in through the front door, where he's obviously confronted by Bakugo. And the fight goes a good bit into his favor, which Deku is able to defend himself and dodge from plenty of attacks, but is having trouble considering his large gargoyle frame in a confined space. He's trained for things like this, but most of his training partners, like his rookery brothers and the older gargoyles that he grew up with, were not as agile and were able to propel themselves with explosions to go in multiple angles for attacks, like Bakugo does. So he does end up getting some hits on Deku, but Deku is able to grab Bakugo by his tail and fling him into a wall. Bakugo yells that he's had enough and charges up his gauntlet. Before it fires, Deku flares his wings and covers himself, enhancing his wings with one for all as much as possible. Once the blast hits, the wings that were strengthened in durability and power by one for all were holding, while Deku used the claws on his feet and such to dig into the ground. I also did forget to mention this, but Deku's hero costume is actually looks like the similar to the Japanese gargoyles from the Gargoyle series. So there is that. As for any support items, he has a little stick in his belt that he's planning on using. Now we get back to the action. Bakugo's pissed that Deku withstood that, even though Deku's wings are a bit seared. Though there's no holes in his wings, so a good night's rest will allow him to heal up just fine. So then Bakugo charges in after All Might tells him not to use that attack again. As he lunges in towards Deku, Deku blitzes towards Bakugo, pulling out the stick he had and full on shocking Bakugo, because it turns out it was a electrified nightstick. If you don't know what a nightstick is, it's a collapsible one. It's the thing police use to go up against aggressive assailants. He takes the nightstick and electrifies Bakugo right in the neck, effectively knocking him out, allowing Deku to capture him. As for Mina's end, Shu and Mina, once on the roof, Mina begins to melt away the roof, but Shu just uses his claws to dig right through the roof, surprising Ida. Shu goes straight for him, and Ida is evading, trying to keep the bomb away from him, and also trying not to get bit, because he thinks Shu might actually take a chunk off of him. Mina drops down and begins to control her quirk to produce her acid in a way that won't make it acidic, in a similar way that she does whenever she uses it to do that sliding thing to more or less slide skate. If you've seen her do that in the anime and all that, Deku is rushing up the stairs and sees what's going on. Ida unfortunately slips on some of the, since it doesn't burn or melt stuff, we'll just call it some kind of slime or whatever. But he slips with the bomb in hand, which Deku then hurries and grabs onto it. As for Shu, he's just digging his claws into the ground so he doesn't slip around on the slick that Mina made. And the heroes team won in this, which they are praised for working together. Though All Might asked Mina uh, and told Deku to keep Shu from destroying the building, as well as Mina not full on melting the building like that all the time, which they apologize for. And that's the end of today, and this will be the end of part 2 of what if Deku was half gargoyle. And hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell. And another thing, we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Very, very close. As for anything that will come with that, it will come with announcements on the community tab that I will then be able to access to put up the thumbnails for future what ifs that I am actually planning. And with that, the thumbnails will be voted on. And in this way, with the name of the what if on them and all that, once a what if is cleared from the main lineup, one of the higher uh one of the what if thumbnails on that will be on the community tab once we get to it, that will have the highest likes, will be taking the place of the what if that reaches up to the point in the anime. So hope you enjoyed and all that, and see you later. I will also be uploading later on what if Deku had anti-venom, the re-upload due to the audio problem that we had of it cutting out. And the other one will be what if Asta was the Avatar. The next part that will begin with the attack on the capital. So hope you enjoyed, have a good time, and see you later.